Steve Jobs was not just a businessman, he was a visionary, a creator, a dreamer, a rebel who believed that technology is not about machines, but about making life better for people. His journey from a small garage to the global stage is a beacon of inspiration for every person who dares to dream big. Today, we are going to walk through the life of Steve Jobs without any pause, without any hesitation, and without any comma, because his story itself is so powerful that it needs no extra decoration. Steve Jobs was born on 24 February 1955 in San Francisco, California. He was adopted by Paul and Clara Jobs. His biological mother was a young woman who decided to give him away. Many would think that being abandoned at birth is a disadvantage, but Steve never considered it a weakness. He simply took life as it came and shaped it according to his own vision. During his school days, Steve was not a typical good student. He was curious, restless, and hungry for knowledge beyond books. He loved electronics. He loved experimenting with machines. He would spend hours with his father in the workshop learning how things work. But what mattered the most was not his technical knowledge. It was his passion for building something extraordinary. During his teenage years, Steve met Steve Wozniak, a tech genius who shared his enthusiasm. Together, they decided to start a company. They did not have an office. They did not have investors. All they had was a garage and a dream, and that dream was called Apple. Apple I was their first creation, simple yet powerful, built with the belief that one day every person could own a computer. Apple Roman II took it further. It was a breakthrough in the world of personal computing. People started recognizing Steve Jobs as a revolutionary thinker. But he did not stop there. In 1984, Apple launched Macintosh, a computer with a graphical user interface, a device that made technology human, a product that changed the way people interacted with computers. Steve believed that simplicity was the ultimate sophistication, and Macintosh was the living example of that belief. But success does not protect anyone from challenges. In 1985, Steve Jobs was forced to leave Apple, the very company he created. The world thought his journey ended, but he thought it just began. He said, "I was rejected, but I was still in love with my work. So I started again." Steve founded a new company called NXT. He also invested in Pixar, an animation studio that later produced Toy Story, a movie that revolutionized animated filmmaking. His choices were not driven by money, they were driven by passion. In 1997, Apple acquired NXT and Steve Jobs returned as the CEO. This was the rebirth of Apple and the birth of some of the most iconic products in the history of technology. First came the iMac, then the iPod, then iTunes, then iPhone, then iPad, and eventually Apple Watch. When Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone, people thought it was just another phone. But he said it was not a phone. It was a revolution, a device that combined communication, entertainment, and internet into one. A device that would change the future. And it did. Steve Jobs believed that innovation is the difference between a leader and a follower. He never focused on competitors. He focused on creating something that did not exist before. He once said, "Do not look at competitors. If you do, you will never innovate." So he looked within. He trusted his intuition. For Steve, technology was not just about engineering. It was a blend of technology and art. He said technology alone is not enough. It must combine with the arts and humanities to create something that makes our hearts sing. That is why Apple products are not just tools, they are experiences. He had an obsession with perfection. He would spend weeks deciding the exact shade of white for a design. He would cancel entire projects if they did not feel right. Because for him, design was not about how it looks. It was about how it works and how it connects with the user. In 2003, Steve Jobs was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. Despite this, he continued to work. He said, "I want to put a dent in the universe." And he did. His illness did not stop him. It made his vision deeper. Every product launch was delivered with passion. Even when he was in pain, in 2005 he gave a speech at Stanford University, a speech that became historic. In that speech, he said, "Your time is limited, so do not waste it living someone else's life. Do not let the noise of others drown your inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition." He also said, "You cannot connect the dots looking forward. You can only connect them looking backward. So you must trust that the dots will somehow connect in your future." That is how he lived, trusting the dots, believing that every moment has a purpose. He asked himself every day, "If today was the last day of my life, would I do what I am about to do today?" And if the answer was no for too many days in a row, he changed his direction. That is how strongly he believed in living with intention. Steve Jobs was not afraid of failure. He said, "Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Do not lose faith." He believed that failure is not the end. It is the start of something great. Getting fired from Apple gave him the strength to rebuild himself. And his return changed the future of technology. He never allowed people to tell him what was possible and what was not. He believed that people who are crazy enough to think they can change the world are the ones who do. And he proved that statement true. His leadership style was intense. He demanded excellence. He pushed people beyond limits. Some found it difficult, but those who understood his purpose created products that revolutionized the world. Because he believed that great things are not built by comfort. They are built by pushing beyond the ordinary. Steve Jobs did not believe in living an average life. He believed in leaving a mark. He once said, "When you grow up, you tend to get told that the world is the way it is. Try to live your life inside the world. Try not to bash into the walls too much, but that is a very limited life." Life can be much broader once you discover one simple fact. Everything around you that you call life was made up by people that were no smarter than you. And you can change it. You can influence it. You can build your own things that other people can use. Steve Jobs taught us that success is not about following a path. It is about creating your own. He taught us that passion is more powerful than money. He taught us that focus is more important than speed. He taught us that perfection is not optional. It is necessary. Even when he knew his health was declining, he continued to work. He guided the creation of iPhone 4, iPad 2, and many other products. In his final years, he redesigned how Apple stores look, because he said even the way we buy technology should be an experience. Steve Jobs passed away on 5 October 2011, but his legacy did not end. It lives in every iPhone, every iPad, every MacBook, every Apple Watch, every person who dares to think differently, every creator who rejects mediocrity, every dreamer who believes in impossible. His last words to the world were simple: "Stay hungry, stay foolish." These words became the anthem of dreamers, because hunger represents the desire to keep learning. Foolishness represents the courage to take risks. So if you are a student or a business person or an artist or someone searching for purpose, remember this. You do not need to be perfect to start. You just need passion. Look at Steve Jobs. He was not the richest man when he started. He was not the most qualified. He was not the most experienced, but he was passionate, obsessed, uncompromising. And those qualities made him iconic. Today the world sees Apple as a brand of innovation, but it began in a small garage. With two people, with a belief, with ambition. That is the power of vision. That is the power of commitment. From zero to billions, from rejection to revolution, from garage to global leadership, that is Steve Jobs. The message of his life is clear. If you love what you do, if you trust your vision, if you dare to be different, no force in the world can stop you. So from today, ask yourself, if today was your last day, would you do what you are doing right now? If not, change your path, follow your dreams, dare to challenge the norms, create your own reality. Never settle, never stop learning, Never allow doubt to win. Use your failure as fuel. Use your passion as power. Do not wait for the right moment. Create it. Do not wait for permission. Take action. Do not follow trends. Set them. The time you have is limited, so do not waste it. Build, innovate, inspire, impact, just like Steve Jobs did. Stay hungry, stay foolish,